welcome. It is Speedify Live office hours. I think we can move a little closer. Let's move a little closer. There we go. So we are actually physically together in the same place. Exciting and new. Where's the comments? All right. We are live, so we see your comments. Yo, Speedify Babs, we see you. So this is, I'm Alex. I'm the CEO of Connectify, the makers of Speedify. I have with me Kevin Cunningham. I'm getting confused. I'm watching the video where everything is mirrored. And so it's confusing as hell. So we have Kevin, the lead developer of Speedify, and we have Mike Kane, the guy in charge of the user interface and porting to iOS and head of quality assurance. So we are here to answer whatever questions you have. Also talk about some random things, such as why all the ladies in the office have been talking about the Three Stooges so much today. Entirely random, I'm sure, right? Apropos of nothing, right? If you have questions, post them in the comments and we will answer. So, Kevin, what's new with Speedify? What's coming up? There's some stuff we should talk about here?
Yes, I think towards the end of this week, we're planning the next release of Speedify 12.5. A few different things coming that are, there's always lots of different improvements in the background, but one of the main new things coming is an option when you disconnect Speedify. Now it's going to pop up a little thing that's going to give you some options that you can offer to reconnect Speedify at a later time. We find a lot of times people disconnect Speedify and forget about it, and they realize days later that they never reconnected Speedify, returned it back on. So we'll let it give you that reminder to just reconnect automatically for you.
Do we have some screenshots of that?
We do. Hold them up. Let's see. Where we have the screenshots here. Yeah, here we go. All right. So yeah, when you disconnect Speedify, now a little dialog will pop up, and by default, it'll do nothing. If you don't choose anything, it'll just leave you disconnected. So you can choose don't reconnect down here. But if maybe you're having a problem with that server, it gives you an option. You can just easily try another server. You can click that and it'll reconnect you right away to another server. Or you can tell Speedify reconnect in 2 hours. So it'll reconnect 2 hours later, or reconnect me tomorrow, and that'll reconnect tomorrow for you. Or you can try and get help if you're having some sort of problem. So we're trying to help users out here that are disconnecting, maybe either seeing a problem or they want to remember to start Speedify back up later. Give them a way to easily do that without, so you don't forget. And so yeah, you'll see, let me go to my second screenshot, that if I choose reconnect in 2 hours here, it shows up here reconnecting, and it'll tell you the time it's going to reconnect, so that Speedify is waiting to reconnect for you.
Nice.
That's one of the major improvements. We've got some other little improvements here and there. And some people have been confused about streaming mode versus speed mode and things like that. So we reorganized how we display that a little bit in the settings. So now that we make it clear that streaming mode is kind of an add-on optimization to speed mode that you can turn on and off. So instead of making it a separate mode for stream mode, we're just displaying it a little bit differently. All the functionality is the same, but making it a little clearer, I think, for users to understand that you're still getting the bonding and everything that you get in speed mode when you have streaming mode on. It's just getting that extra protection for your streams. And yeah, lots of improvements around our new automatic priority stuff. We've gotten different feedback from users about that, about both the display names. We're gonna revamping that a little bit to make the names a little clearer and show you more information about the different adapters.
We heard you.
Yeah. And yeah, making some updates to the automatic choices it makes in different cases. So yeah, little improvements there, and lots of stability fixes and things like that. I'm trying to remember if there are anything else notable you can think about, Mike.
Is the ISP in this release? If not, then we did rework.
That was in last release, and so yeah, that was the issue. People were complaining how the ISP wasn't just seeing.
If you click on an adapter, there's a lot more information about the adapter.
Yeah.
Some of this made in the last release. There's a little bit more even with this next release. It shows you what network you're on, what's the name of the adapter in your computer. who the internet service provider is, what the, like, there's a lot of info if you click on the adapter. So let's see, we got a question from the Keggy, which, I think he's asking for a longer term roadmap. How do you see Speedify developing going forward?
Yeah, so there's always lots of different things on our mind. Yeah, definitely continuing to really focus on live streaming and seeing where we can make more optimizations for that. More supporting more streaming platforms and detecting them, and seeing what other things, better behavior, and how we can save your streams and keep you online.
Big effort around single sign-on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk about that a little, Mike?
Yeah, sure. So coming up in the near future, maybe for 12.6, we're experimenting with single sign-on, which will give users access to their Google login credentials or the Apple login credentials, which will support the private relay and hidden emails and all of that. So more options for you to register, share your accounts, but still remain.
So for those who don't get it, you're talking like everyone.
Yeah.
So like with the Apple, you can set it up so you tell Apple who you are, and Apple just tells us, okay, this is a user. And so so it's kind of the ultimate in privacy. We have no idea who you are, right? So we can't spy on your privacy because we don't know who you are. And Apple can't because they don't know what you're doing through the VPN, right? So we're splitting the info between us and Apple. So you can buy the app and be a pro user and use it on multiple machines and stuff. And potentially we don't know who you are and kind of don't care. None of our business. Couldn't spy on you if we wanted. All right. Speedify Babs is asking, when does that new version drop?
Later this week. We're probably thinking Friday. I think we're still in the process of testing and getting a few little fixes in here and there. But yeah, probably by the end of the week.
And Kevin, I think it's important to bring up for this new release, we did rename one of the bypass options so users don't get confused. What was previously Amazon Prime to bypass is now just named Amazon. I think that'd be important. So, if you have that set, it's still set. It's just a different name.
Yeah. Okay. I guess are there elements to Speedify you couldn't implement right now, but want to in the future? So that login stuff, that's a fine example. A lot of stuff we talk about is around the hosting, letting people host their own servers. People ask that all the time. It should be possible. You just have to do a lot of work around wizards and security. There's a lot of security stuff involved in doing that right to make sure that, you can control who can hit your server, but not who can hit other people's servers. So there's a bunch of work there, but we want to reach the point where people can run their own servers. Companies can run their own servers and things.
Yeah, and also the stuff that we've talked about with being able to remotely view your stats. We've demoed that with the remote bike streams a couple times, but I think that's something else we want to try to get to users in the future, the ability to monitor Speedify remotely and see the stats of everything that's going on.
And there are two classes. There's the real-time stats. And by the way, I'm not going to show it, but that demo I showed last week with the bike where we had live stats while the person was biking through the city, I got them embedded in OBS, right? There's now the doc stuff. So I could have the OBS video software with my stream of my Speedify graphs live in the same interface where I was making the video. Like, we're going places with that. That should be great. The other thing is the historical data, right? So you can get graphs about like how much did I use Speedify this month, and how fast is my Wi-Fi, or how well is AT&T really working for me? Questions like that you ought to be able to answer. So the question of the day, and this is a question for you guys to drop your answers in the comments, is where have you gone with bad connectivity? We want to hear stories about people with terrible internet connections. All right. When will you guys make a Speedify router in the future? I think we made an agreement with somebody. I think a Speedify router is actually going to come out soon. Can't say anything more.
But I will note that, there are plenty of little Linux boards and devices that you can get that you can have act as a router today. You can install a Linux version.
Raspberry Pi, right?
Yeah.
Lots of instructions. Go to support@speedify.com, and there's lots of instructions on how to install it on a Raspberry Pi, how to configure Raspberry Pi, how to turn into a little router for you. All right, agreed. You really need to simplify the benefits of Speedify and more than what it actually is. Yeah, so we should do a better job on stats and our bragging. We were talking a lot today. I think it turned out to be a bad idea on how to simplify Speedify. Every operating system now supports metered connections. On iOS, Android, Windows, Linux, any of them, you can go in and you can tell the operating system that this internet connection is expensive. And we can use that to drive our settings instead of having settings for that in our adapters. We could take away basically at least half our settings just by supporting that. The trouble is we've been going around and we can't find anyone who has ever used those settings. So we're not sure. I thought it would be a simplification. Like, we don't need to have the same settings as the operating system. But no one uses metered connections in Windows that we can find. I mean, somebody tell me in the comments if you actually use that, if you turn on metering on your internet connections to tell your operating system how expensive you consider them. So I'm afraid it actually would end out, I was hoping it would simplify it, that we could tear out half our settings. But it turns out we would have to have detailed instructions on how to go into the Windows control panel and do this. And if you're on a Mac, you go into settings and you do that. And so I think we came to the conclusion that it was just a bad idea on Alex's part, and that us just handling the settings and doing it right is probably the best we can do. Marby says, the graphs, we need more graphs. I agree. Dungeons and Druids, thoughts on C++ 23. I assume that's another name for Rust, right?
To be honest, I haven't really looked at it.
RB, so wait, now you might be able to integrate live data into OBS. Yes. Yeah, so OBS has a couple different APIs for plugins, and now we've played with all of them. We got rough prototypes working with all of them. You can put HTML from your website into OBS as a plugin. And so that was the most recent thing here I did. I pulled from my Kibana server and embedded it as a frame in there. You can make a WebSocket connection to OBS to get some stats from it and act as remote control. And you can actually do both. Use a WebSocket to your web page if you embed in it. And then there's also a Python API, and that's the plugin that Kevin and I did and demonstrated a couple months ago. That was two of us writing Python, putting it in OBS. I don't know. There's something there. It might not just be for OBS. OBS is nice in that it's open source and popular. And so we can just hack away at it. If we have a question how it works, we can go look at the source code, right? Yeah, I think Speedify should do a better job of working directly with a lot of this video software. Kevin said to make your own Speedify router. That's right. All right. Okay. I noticed one of the most famous IRL streamers, Ice Poseidon, just made his comeback to YouTube. I think he would be a perfect streamer to actually sponsor and show how Speedify is used for live streaming. Okay. I assume you're not Ice Poseidon, just hitting us up for money. So we'll go check that out. Reach out. We're actually sponsoring a lot of podcasts right now. Basically, every other day there's some podcast where the host talk about how great Speedify is. I think our biggest problem as a company is not enough people have heard of us. People who play with software tend to love it. But not enough people have heard of us. All right. If he came on board, I think a lot of other streamers would start using it for IRL too. All right. We'll reach out. All right. If he's still streaming, sounds like he's starting to stream again. Yeah, I was kidding. I didn't think you were him. That was my idea of a joke. All right. So other things. So, if you guys have questions, post them. We are live. We are answering. We are the people who made Speedify, and we are here for you. Meanwhile, SpaceX turned on the satellite-to-satellite lasers in Starlink. So if any of you are in Antarctica and you're using Starlink, because apparently their satellites now work on all 7 continents. There are people in Antarctica whose Starlink dishes just started working. We want stats. So if you could run Speedify, maybe do a live stream test, and then send logs to support at speedify.com, we would love to see. In the ancient days, we did a bunch of work with Iridium, and their latency was awful. And the reason their latency was awful is they had to beam your packets from satellite to satellite to satellite to satellite to a base station. And it was a horrible experience. But now, Starlink is doing a similar thing. They're doing it with lasers. So I don't know if they're going to be providing terrible services when you're on the laser, or if they have figured something out. I would like to know. So yeah, anyone with Starlink, if you're using it in some weird place where it didn't used to work and it just started working, please send logs to supportspeedify.com. I want to see them. That's right. Podcasts are good. I see the real benefits of Speedify for outside of live streaming. Yeah, IRL streamers, man, they love us. If they know about us, right? So yeah, I'll use my iPhone and it'll join AT&T, and then I'll join the hotspot off someone else's phone, and now I have 2 hotspots, and it's really cool. There's another answer. We are playing around with some crazy mesh networking stuff, right? So one phone can borrow the cellular connection of 4 or 5 other phones in the area to put together an even better connection for your live streaming. So that's another thing we are experimenting with. And yeah. All right. TCB in a flash says, do you have any videos on how to set up Speedify for live streaming, like the priority for each network, etc.? Everyone normally says to use Speedify, and that's it. Do you have any good videos?
We talk about it a lot on these live streams about how you set things up, and it's going to depend on your case, what type of device you're using it on, what connections you have. But yeah, if you're doing like the IRL streaming, like Alex said, having one phone and join the hotspot of another phone, so you get 2 cellular connections, have them as the same priority. That's a good kind of IRL setup. But yeah, I mean, we try to make the default settings work pretty well, and especially with our new like automatic priority stuff, we try and configure things so you just install Speedify and you turn it on, and with the defaults you should be pretty good to go. But sometimes people have particular cases or requirements where they want to switch around some of the settings. We have lots of KB articles, on support.speedify.com to talk about the different settings, and I think we have some different videos that we've shown, but we probably should do more about setting up for live streaming and showing some examples of that. Maybe that'd be a good video topic.
The real question is, will the streamers get back to us? Yeah. So, here's a tip for live streaming. If someone reaches out to you and offers you money to be your sponsor, at least reply. It seems to be something that most streamers do not do. Have a way to contact you, and if you want to talk business, or say you're not interested. That's fine too. But yeah, very difficult to get a hold of people. Yeah, Speedify Babs. Summer is almost over, so IRL won't be so overheating. Live streaming when it is over 90 degrees is so painful. Phones overheat, and you end up with these cooling devices. Of course, the cooling devices need power. Now you have more batteries, more weight, more crap you're dragging around the sun. When it's over 90 Fahrenheit, I guess the simple answer is try not to IRL stream, but the complex answer is, lose the case, get a cooling device. It's been much, much more complicated dealing with the heat here. No more sun, please. Yes, if someone could extinguish that ball of fire in the sky, we'd all be very grateful for 7 minutes before we froze. All right. So, Mike, what are you up to these days? You've been very quiet.
Just working on Speedify 12.5. It's been a long road, a lot of features, and testing all the new stuff is there's a lot. So we want to make sure when you get it, it's stable and ready to go.
Excellent. Speaking of stable, anybody been playing Stable Diffusion at all? Oof. Holy cow! Such pretty artwork. I don't know if you guys have played with it at all. Stable Diffusion. It's this new artificial intelligence art program. That's the best one I ever used to describe a picture you want, and it just draws it. So a lot of us have been toying around with it, trying to make funny pictures of each other.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah. The thing that makes it really revolutionary, though, is the feedback that it can generate a picture based on your description. And then you can give it back that picture with more description, and it'll kind of modify it. And so you can go around and around. So I think it's not exactly replacing the artist so much as, giving them a lot more horsepower. All right. Okay. Ice innovated and made IRL huge for a while, and now he's back. Might come back big again. Yeah, we're interested. Yeah, we're going to reach out to him, no doubt. No doubt. So if you have any pull with him, tell him to respond. Not accusing him of anything, but there have been a lot of streamers with a lot of trouble reaching. That's all. All right, we are almost at 2:30. So you guys, if you got any questions, your last chance. Follow, like, subscribe wherever you're watching. We've got lots of interesting people coming up, and Speedify. I think Speedify could be huge with the right guy using it to show what it can do. Yeah. From your lips. So, a bunch of other streams coming up. September 15th, that's tomorrow, right? Software engineer Joel Draper. He live codes, he Ruby on Rails. He's an interesting guy, and I'm interviewing him tomorrow. On the 20th, we're going to have Rob from Uscreen. On the 22nd, we're going to have Glassman Cometh, the glass blower. This guy does crazy live streams, right? Heats up the glass red hot, blows into it, makes, vases and stuff. It's really cool stuff. And then September 29th, we're going to IRL, just like we talked, at Fright Maps Halloween Market. Get out and do some early Halloween stuff. And then finally, October 4th, Black Magic Design. Whoa, big win. So these are, the same people who do the A10 Mini, and also, which a lot of live streamers use. They also do the giant control boards you see in the studios with the hundreds of controls that, the producers are using, switch from camera to camera. That's all Black Magic. These guys, they do the real gear, and they're going to be on here to talk to us, and that's going to be super cool. All right. I think that's about it. Any parting words of wisdom, Kevin?
I wish.
Any thoughts to leave them with?
Be on the lookout for 12.5, and don't forget to update. It's going to be a real good one.
Yeah, it is going to be a good one. We're really excited about it. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Mike. Thank you to all of you who asked questions and watched. We are here for you. And thanks for the advice. We're gonna follow up with ice. So awesome. Oh yeah, well, does the confetti work still? Yeah, confetti. I guess I should save that for when 12.5 actually releases. I kind of fired off the confetti early, and I apologize. All right, thanks everybody. See you all online.